Hi everybody, Chris Justice here with you. Want to give you another update on the tropics. We've got back-to-back major hurricanes striking Florida. Last week it was Helene. This week it is Milton, and this one will hit from the Gulf Coast. Hi everybody, I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice, tracking Milton right here. We've got to watch it closely. As you can see, it's bubbling up. It's getting some more energy. It's getting some more organization. This thing is set to intensify in the environment that it's in and begin to impact Florida as early as Tuesday, folks. So we're talking about just after this weekend. I know many of you are still reeling after Helene's impacts. And what I can tell you, in North Carolina and South Carolina, especially in the western part of the state, so devastated by Helene, this does not look to come your way, okay? We are not looking at impacts in the upstate, in Asheville, in Hendersonville. Those areas had a 1 in 1,000 year flood, and the search continues. Miracles are happening every day, folks. We're having answered prayers. I'm going to have another update and kind of a breakdown on Helene's impacts in just a moment, but let's get to the most dire situation right now. What will be striking Florida in just a matter of a couple of days here. So let's look closer at this. This is our computer models. We've got the guidance. This is sitting in sort of an odd area here of the Bay of Campeche. Normally, as a front comes through, it kind of turns these things ragged and you don't get much development out of them. But this thing does look to develop, and because that front's coming through, it moves basically east, set for Tampa Bay, set for Sarasota, set for Bradenton. We're talking about Venice Beach could take a direct hit. Areas that have not had a direct hit from a hurricane in many, many years, okay? So what I want you to do here is let me know where you're watching from. Please subscribe to this channel if you're new. Let me know where you're watching from, and that will help. So if you're watching anywhere in Florida from say, Cape Coral down toward Marco Island, even Key West needs to pay attention to this. As you go up toward Port Myers into Tampa, up through Beverly Hills, we need to be watching this even in Gainesville, okay? Because there are signs this could be a major Cat 3, maybe even Cat 4, which means those inland winds will be such a concern for central Florida. If you're going to Orlando, going to any of the parks, this looks like it could go right over you. What you're looking at here, the blue indicates the UK Met. The GFS is a little bit farther north with this most recent run. It's more like Ocala. It's more like the Villages up through Palm Coast, then exiting out through Daytona Beach or Palm Coast. And then you've got the black here, which is kind of the ensemble means, which is actually matching up well with the National Hurricane Center's forecast. Here's another way of looking at it. The European, the GEFS, the ensemble of all the GFSs, and then the UK Met and the CMC, they kind of split the difference right there. A lot of them are just south of Tampa for Sarasota, Bradenton, Cape Coral, Fort Myers. These areas are no stranger to big hurricanes. We've had them. I'm telling you, it would be devastating to get another one. But I'm telling you, Sarasota has not had a direct hit in many, many years, okay? It's possible here. Same story with Tampa. All right, we need you to be watching on guard with this and very closely. The spread, not as tight as we saw with Helene. It's a lot more widespread than we would like to see in a situation like this, because the tighter the models are, the more of a confident forecast you have. But we have quite a bit of spread right now, which are showing us in these models that there could be a little bit of room here for this to turn into something, a bigger impact. So you go from Cape Coral up to Tampa is what the models are saying right here. As far as intensity, unfortunately, they're kind of saying sky's the limit. A lot of them kind of top out here Cat 2, Cat 3, but a few of our tropical models want to say all bets are off with this system. And as we have seen with Beryl becoming a Cat 5 in the Caribbean and the Atlantic, Debbie, Francine, Helene, all these making landfall and hitting, becoming big systems and becoming big systems quickly. We need to watch that because rapid intensification is possible with this part of the Gulf of Mexico. It is very, very warm. All right, so what do the models say? Here's the GFS, kind of a closer look at that as you can see it. Unfortunately, there's not a big tight consensus here. We do know it's going to move east, northeast. We know that it's going to be somewhere along the Gulf Coast of Florida. This is odd. Normally, when they come this way, they're kind of ragged. They're kind of torn apart by a tropical system going up against a cold front, okay? So that wind shear typically will tear them apart a bit. So what you're looking at here, the red would be the latest deterministic. It looks to be a little bit of an outlier. Let's hope that's not the trend for friends up into northern Florida that just got hit with Helene, okay? Panhandle. You don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see this, but the mean is notably farther south than the GFS. They both originate at about the same, but then they start diverging. So the majority of all the GFS models are down here, while there's a couple of them that are trending up here. So we'll see if that becomes the case, which is why just about anybody in Florida needs to pay attention to this. It could become a direct hit for you. We've been no strangers to it. And look at this. Look at Debbie. Look at Debbie compared to Helene. I mean, just miles apart right there. Okay, so Florida's been no stranger to tropical systems this year. Here's what the models are saying. Let's get into it. I'm going to go wide. I'm going to go in smaller. I'm going to go in county. I'm going to go by city, okay? So please, in the comments section, let me know where you're watching from. Like this video. Share it with your friends. Helps get the word out, folks. As you know, with Helene, I'm in the Western Carolinas. I'm telling you, we got rocked by Helene. Just got power back. Just got resources back. And a lot of people do not, including my family in Western North Carolina, where we have now had over 200 people die from Helene. Such a tragedy, folks. Every day I hear a story of a miracle. Every day I hear a story of a tragedy, okay? My prayers continue to be with those impacted, with the first responders, folks. And I say this. You are heroes, the linemen, the front line workers here. When you see what you saw with Helene, it's not something you're just going to get over and move on from in a week or two. One county, Buncombe County has had 70 deaths, okay? That's unheard of, folks. And you're talking about a mass casualty event that involves children, that involves parents, that involves grandparents. It's just so heartbreaking what's going on in our neck of the woods. And for Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, we don't want to see anything else. All right, we just don't. Unfortunately, the reality is it looks like another hurricane is going to be coming on through. Let's show you what the models are showing. This is the European. It's our trusty one. It's showing somewhere near Tampa. Strong hurricane, Cat 2, Cat 3. The timing on this would be on approach Wednesday morning. A little bit slower on the European. Wednesday morning, Wednesday night. Thursday morning, it's over Orlando. It's exiting somewhere near Daytona. By Thursday morning, it's gone. Okay, so Wednesday night would be the time for Central Florida for my friends in Orlando. If you're going to Disney, if you're going anywhere in Universal, Wednesday night would be your go time. And then Thursday afternoon, it's long gone. All right, that's the Europeans' solution. Let's look at that European solution as far as wind gusts. It certainly gets breezy, certainly gets windy in Savannah, Georgia. Wednesday night, Thursday, 38, 40 mile per hour winds. This has got it aimed. Remember, storm surge will be the biggest concern on the right. Remember, the right front quadrant of a storm is so violent with the wind and the storm surge. That would put it here toward Fort Myers. Okay. Tampa Bay in here would have a hit. Sarasota would have a direct hit. Storm surge values would be significant in Sarasota, Venice Beach, Siesta Key. Then it moves over Orlando. All right. This is the Europeans version. Let's look at it 12 hours ago. It was weaker. It was farther south. It's trended a little bit north. And it's gotten a lot stronger. All right. Let's look at this same run, but with the GFS model. Very similar. It's got 100 plus mile per hour winds at landfall. It's got it going right up through Tampa Bay. That would be devastating impacts with storm surge values that could be 15, 20 feet in a solution like this. You combine that with high tide, Sarasota, Siesta Key. A lot of Siesta Key would be underwater. Same story, Venice Beach, farther south, Bradenton, Fort Myers. I mean, this would be a big time impact, folks. Those 100 mile per hour winds would go far inland with a Cat 3, Cat 4 landfall according to this GFS, which, by the way, did quite well with Helene. unfortunately so for what we're looking at here. It also brings 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts to Savannah, Georgia. Still, in every solution you're seeing here, it does not bring impacts, at least significant impacts, to the Western Carolinas. I want to use that cautiously because it does like we get some windy conditions, which our trees, our soils, everything's so vulnerable right now in Greenville and Spartanburg and Anderson and Columbia. I mean, many people are on day 8 right now without power. Maybe you're watching me right now from a cell phone and you still don't have power. There are a lot of them, a lot of you out there that don't. We just got back power. In fact, kids don't have school where I'm at, and we're on day 8, 9, and 10, day 10. And we don't have school in the upstate of South Carolina for the second week in a row, all right? But it's just because the infrastructure is so devastated here. Roads are impassable in western North Carolina. There's not a timetable of when kids are going back to school in some communities here in the western North Carolina mountains. For Florida, we got to watch this because you could be in for a big-time system, according to this GFS model. And again, the timing on this GFS is a little earlier, almost 24 hours early. It's Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday evening, it's through Central Florida. Wednesday night, it's gone. It's a good 12 hours earlier. Let's just go back to that European solution. It's got this thing hitting Wednesday night, whereas the GFS has got this thing hitting Wednesday morning. So about 12 hours earlier on the GFS model, all right? 12 hours earlier. Let's just show you what that looks like on the GFS. Tightens this thing up to a big-time system. Now, the rain gets as far north as Columbia, Savannah, makes landfall and goes inland. All right, I promised you a closer look. Let's look at that. Here's the Canadian model for what it's worth. It's a little bit farther south, a little bit sloppier, not as strong, kind of an outlier from what we're looking at. All right, here's the GFS for the wind gust. There's Tampa Bay. Here's Sarasota. Tampa, we got St. Petersburg, Bradenton, Sarasota in here, Cape Coral, and Fort Myers in here. Sanibel Island, Bonita Springs, Naples, Marco Island. And you go down to the Keys right in here. So that's the area we're looking at. I know there's not cities on here, but if you're in Florida, you know where you're looking, all right? This new GFS model has winds starting to pick up on Tuesday night. Here come those winds right up Tampa Bay. Whew. Yowza. This would put a direct hit in Tampa. This would put the worst of that storm surge and flow right over Bradenton, right over Sarasota. Storm surge value is 20 feet. That means where you're at the beach, storm surge value is way above you. All right, now the GFS did well with Helene. Doesn't mean it's going to necessarily do well with this, but it's big. This is a big system. This would be a Cat 2, Cat 3, maybe even a Cat 4. Solid Cat 3 right here with wave heights that are 20, 30 feet. Storms are, I mean, just the worst of it. The one thing is it's moving fast, so the precipitation totals here would be in, they would be out. It's not like Helene where it's going to sit there and just give a ton of rain. Nonetheless, 5 to 12 inches here along the shores. Sarasota being one of those that just absolutely get hammered. Longboat Key, Siesta Key. I mean, this would be big for St. Petersburg. This would be big for Tampa. Tampa Bay, up the storm surge in this would just be so devastating. That was the GFS. Let's look at the European. I mean, very, very close. You've got maybe a 20-mile-per-hour spread in the models, and it's got a direct hit with Tampa and Sarasota, which still brings those Cat 3 influences. What, so many get fixated on the wind. I can tell you, here in Greenville, South Carolina, we had a peak wind gust of 72 miles per hour. And there are still many in our community that are without power 8 days later. All right, so it doesn't matter the wind speed. It's the duration of those wind speeds. It's the severity of it. And in this case, what I would be most concerned about for Tampa and Sarasota would be the storm surge values. The storm surge values could be just so devastating with a landfall like this for Tampa, unlike anything we've had in a very, very long time. Just so devastating. And it's one of those situations where, here we are talking about another Florida major hurricane. Another one. All right, so that's what this is like. We do have access to one more European model. I don't think it gets us as close, but it gets us out to right here. This would be Wednesday morning. If you were to kind of guess where it's going to go, this is the latest model. It's pretty darn close with the GFS. I'm going to flip it back to the 12Z version. Advancing it out, it kind of wants to go north right at Tampa, while as the GFS, if we put it on, is right up in there. There's the 12Z, there's the 18Z. 18Z wants to take it on up Florida a little bit. Let's pull out for some perspective. It's closer to the Big Bend. Now remember, there's a front sitting here. Now this 18Z GFS is a little bit more of an outlier. Here we go with, this would be something like what the 12Z GFS shows. This would be something, I just made a sounding. I don't want that. No, I don't want to do either. Okay, moving on. The spreads. I want to show you trends because trends are important when we're in this stage of the ball game. And this is early, folks. The thing is this is early, but it's also, it formed today, but it's going to make landfall Tuesday night and Wednesday. There's not much time to prepare. And I tell you, the problem with these type storm systems is in people's minds, you hear it and you're like, okay, that's Helene. We just had Helene. No, this is a new storm that could make landfall in Florida as a major Cat 3, Cat 4. All right, so here are the trends with the models today. You're looking at the 12Z, then the 18Z. 12Z, 18Z. Wasn't much of a spread. Maybe they're a little tighter at 18Z with Tampa. Right down the middle. Right down the middle of Florida. Morning, afternoon. All right, here are the GFSs. This is the ensemble of the GFSs models. That would be this morning's runs, this evening's. A little bit more haywire at 18Z, which shows there's not as much confidence in what's going on there. So, folks, what we got to do, simply put, is we got to watch this. If you're in Florida, I'm putting you on notice. A major hurricane is going to impact millions in Florida for a storm-weary coast, a storm-weary area that just doesn't want to see anything else like that, okay? Because we've already had too much. We've already had too many impacts. You need to prepare right now. Tomorrow we'll know more. Monday is okay. Is it still where we thought it was? We need to go. All right. Tuesday is probably too late to go. Monday is our go time. So whether you got plans to go to Central Florida for Disney, for Universal, for anything in between, this guy is coming. All right. It's just a matter of where in Florida. All right. It's odd to get a very, very strong Cat 3, Cat 4 in this. Let's hope. Let's just hope and pray that maybe the trend is that this thing never really gets going. But unfortunately, when I look at the satellite, it's getting more organized here. It's getting more organized as we speak. All right. So let's look at one more thing I wanted to show you, and this is for my friends watching right now, my family watching right now, just for some perspective on Helene. Folks, again, I could tell you stories all day, and we will. I just want to get the most life-saving, pertinent forecast information out on Milton. Milton is what's moving forward. Helene is what we're still recovering from. Anywhere in dark blue right here, anywhere in here in the Western Carolinas, on my handy-dandy little key down here is a 1 in 1,000-year flood event. That includes every bit of Hendersonville, every bit of Asheville, every bit of Mount Mitchell. This rain was so much that it should never happen again in 1,000 years. Northern Greenville County, northern Pickens County, northern Oconee County. Then you throw in 3 to 5 hours of near hurricane force winds. That's why the Western Carolinas got devastated. That's why Swannanoa, that's why Asheville had nearly 70 deaths in Asheville City alone. Folks, that's terrible. It's heartbreaking. And again, I'm just calling on everybody that's watching right now. Just thank a first responder. Thank them and continue to walk with them, because the things that they are seeing right now in a mass casualty event like this are just something they would never see in their lifetime, okay? Much less when you throw in children are involved, families are involved, people's homes are just completely wrecked. It's going to, like I've said earlier this week, we're never going to be the same in the Western Carolinas. Probably as people, myself included. I mean, when your area, when your hometown, when your family goes through something like this, it changes you. It just does. It puts a new perspective on everything. You wear a different lens every day. But it's also changed our communities. If you come here, if you vacation here, don't expect it to be the same Asheville. Don't expect it to be the same Hendersonville, the same Chimney Rock, the same Lake Lure. The people are the same. The beauty is still going to be there, but it's not going to be the same. It will never be the same. All right. So again, folks watching this, wherever you're watching from, please continue to pray for us in the Western Carolinas, for our neighbors. I'm thankful to have power. Like I said, I'm not the same. I don't take this lighting in front of me, the fact that I'm on a computer right now, for granted, because life is so precious, folks. That's all there is to it. And my faith keeps me going, and I know it's kept so many of you going this week, and what's been a really, 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 really hard week for many of us in the Western Carolinas. So I wanted to get on here, wanted to put this video out on Milton. Milton will impact Florida, could impact Florida in a major way. It does not look to, at this point, come to the Western Carolinas, but we're watching it closely, folks. My prayers are with you. Love you all. Let me know where you're watching from, and we'll talk soon.